Okay, Israel, shalom. Throughout everybody for tuning in. Shout out Cabo Cabo and this congregation in Guatemala. Shout out SOW, Virginia, Houston, and Rochester. Hope your brothers doing well today. We're back at it. The title of today's class is The Fate of Those Left Behind. The fate of those left behind. We're going to kind of like briefly recap what we have gone through so far. Like it's just like the fifth class we've gone into. I'm not sure. We might break it up a little bit and go into other topics and then come back and finish it out. There's just like 3 or 4 more classes if we just go right through it. I'm not sure. I'm kind of on the fence either way on it. But so far, just a brief recap. The first class we had in this series dealt with the nuclear bombs hitting America and all the strategic places around the world. Okay. Second class we went into about is when those bombs are dropping, Christ comes down with the angels. And Christ's job, one of his jobs, is to sit back here and destroy these armies of the nations and totally wipe out the world powers and their nations. And their armies. The third part
was the elite, right?
Where those angels had different duties and responsibilities. One of those duties of the reapers was to gather all of the rich and the powerful from their bunker positions, capture them and jail them for the upcoming prison that was waiting for them. Once we get through that, then we went into the purging aspect. The other reapers were going to be gathering Israel, who in our minds had obtained salvation. But not so fast, my friend. We got to go through our purging also. We went through that class. Then we went after that. We went into the beginning part. Well, that was the sand. The next part was going into the beginning part of this class about what happens to the people that don't get burned in a thermonuclear destruction and don't get picked up for the purging. There's a whole large number of people in the world that haven't committed themselves to serving the Most High to even be in a position to get purged, and also haven't done such egregious sins that deserve thermonuclear destruction. And what we're going to go into today is everybody in the middle who have not taken this word serious, who have treaded lightly in their responsibility to the Most High. What happens to those individuals? This is really the second part of 2 Mondays ago's class. So once again, the title of the class is The Fate of Those Left Behind.
And the question is, one direction or one demographic goes to the sand. They go to the desert.
Mm-hmm. To get purged. But those were the ones who were in good standing with the Heavenly Father.
Yeah.
Then the other group, they get burnt on sight. Because like we had mentioned in a previous class months and months ago, how the reapers will take the wicked from different places and drop them into that lake of fire.
Yeah.
Just because you're not in America does not mean you're not going to touch that fire. So, let's go. 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 16 and 17. 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 16 through 17.
2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 16.
Let me type this other verse in real quick, and I'll be right there with you. Let me put some of those incense in there, man. Let's read that.
Come, 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 16. For as I conceive in my understanding, woe to them that shall be left in those days.
So, from what the vision Ezra is receiving in 2nd Ezra 13, he said, man, destruction's coming to those people who are still standing in these last days. This is not going to be very nice for the people who don't get delivered. Okay? But read on.
And much more woe unto them that are not left behind.
He said it's going to be way worse to the individuals that didn't get left behind. What is that talking about?
Getting beamed up in the chariot?
No. Read it from the top again. We're gonna get clarity on this one. Read verse 16 again.
For as I conceived in my understanding, Woe to them that shall be left in those days.
Listen, woe means destruction. So Ezra is saying destruction to those who are left behind, who don't get picked up in these chariots and get sent to a destination. Destruction is coming to you. But, read on.
And much more woe to them that are not left behind.
He said much more woe, meaning much more destruction, to the ones who are not left behind. Who are those individuals who are not left behind? The ones that get sent and get picked up and get sent to that fire. He said those are the ones where it's much worse. So he's saying, in the grand scheme of things, ideally, you want to get taken to the wilderness so Christ can plead with you face to face. But you're better off to be in this nomadic wasteland of a world, in this post-apocalyptic Book of Eli world, than what's going to happen to you if you sit back here and see these bombs and you're a partaker of those bombs. He says that's what you don't want. He said that's going to be much more woe to the people that catch these thermonuclear destruction. And that's when the hell starts. That's when the real hell starts. Read on.
Verse 17. For they that were not left were in heaviness.
He says the ones that were not left. That means the ones that died. That died immediately on impact when those bombs dropped.
The same must know by pain.
That's the next verse.
Okay, here we go.
So listen, he's telling you, he says, read verse 17 again.
Come on, verse 17. For they that were not left behind, for they that were not left were in heaviness.
Listen, the ones that were not left behind died already. So how are they in heaviness if they already died?
Because the Most High talks about the after.
The after bad, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to prove that.
Uh,
So hold this. We're going to come back to this. But first, let's go to 2 Ezra 9, verse 5 through 13. Excuse me, I'm having some issues with my throat, so I'm talking all weird now. Read that.
Come. 2 Ezra chapter 9 and verse 5 reads, For like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest.
He says everything in life has a beginning and an end, and the end's going to be manifest to the entire world. Read on.
Verse 6, Even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and wonderful works, and endings and effects and signs.
Mm-hmm.
And every
he says from the beginning, there's wonderful beginnings, and there's signs that let you know the end's coming. Read on.
Verse 7, And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works.
So he says there are a handful of people that will be saved by their works. This is that third demographic of people that won't have to experience that double woe pain after death and won't have to experience this post-apocalyptic living. You're going to have three different type of realities that are going to be on earth at the end. If you've worked hard enough and you are saved according to your works, he's talking about you here. Let's continue.
Come, and shall be able to escape by his works.
Read it from the top, verse 7.
Come. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works.
The ones that get saved escape. They make it by their works, by their sacrifice, by their commitment to one another, and their commitment to Christ. Okay? Let's continue.
And by faith.
By faith. So once again, faith and works give you an opportunity to obtain salvation. Right? Let's continue.
And by faith.
Matter of fact, hold on. I want to make sure I'm not going too fast. Faith and works for men, right? Hold this and go to 1 Timothy 2 and 15. 1 Timothy 2 and 15.
1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15.
Let's get it.
God. 1 Timothy 2:15.
So the verse 7 in 2 Ezra 9 let us know the men who have faith and works have the opportunity for salvation. But salvation just isn't clear salvation. Salvation, Christ gives you the opportunity to be saved by first going to get what? Purged and dealt with. So but what about women? Okay, read on.
God, 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing.
A wife. Women are going to be saved in the fact that they took that patriarchal position or that matriarchal position in the home. They were that supporting mother. They were that supporting wife. They were that staple in the household. They were that backbone in the household to allow her husband to pursue serving the Most High and to stay on point. So her salvation is predicated on how well of a wife she is and how well of a mother she is. Why am I putting this in? Because women are going to be sitting back here having an opportunity to get purged, as well as the men. And women are going to be in that post-apocalyptic wasteland too. This is not for the faint of heart for anybody. Women are going to be burning too, like men are for their wickedness. Nobody escapes this. So let that go. And let's go to verse 8 in Esdras.
Come.
9 and 8.
Come. 2 Ezra chapter 9 and verse 8 reads, shall be preserved from the said perils and shall see my salvation in my land.
So he says, the ones that are chosen and saved won't have to see these foresaid perils. What foresaid perils? You got to tie that in with 2 Ezra 13. That woe that's happening to the individuals that are not saved, and that double woe to those Israelites and those people around the world who have no regard for the Most High and respect for the Father. They're going to deal with that real pain. And the ones that don't take the Most High serious are going to deal with pain on earth. Okay? Let's continue.
And within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning.
Read verse 8 again. I'm sorry.
Come. Verse 8. Shall be preserved from the said perils and shall see my salvation in my land.
Exactly. So the ones that are saved have the chance to see salvation in our land, Jerusalem. Read on.
And within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Then shall they be in a pitiful case.
No, hold that. Hold that verse. Before we go into the scary part of it, let's go back now and jump into Ezekiel 20, verse 33 through 38. Because what we were reading in verse 8 is talking about those Israelites that get picked up and they experience salvation in the chariots, and they have to get purged in the wilderness. I want to make sure I'm sequencing this properly. Okay?
So are we still holding 2 Ezra 13?
Yes, sir. Because we'll be going back there soon. Listen, we got to go through this first. You can always come back after it. Yeah. So Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 33, through 38.
You getting it?
Yeah.
Okay.
33.
Yes, sir.
Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 33.
I'm not going to sit back here and go through it as extensively as I did weeks ago. But I want to go through this real quick because I still want to make sure, since we haven't had it over the last few weeks, that we're sequencing this properly. Okay, read that.
Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 33.
Verse 33 to 38 is dealing with those individuals that are saved, that have the opportunity for salvation, that will see Christ reign on the throne in Jerusalem. Read on.
As I live, saith the Lord power, surely with the mighty hand, and with the stretched out arm, and with fury poured out, will I rule over you.
So what he's telling us, even the ones that he saved, initially, he's going to sit back here and through force and through discipline, he's going to purge us. Read on.
And I will bring you out from the people, and will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered.
When he's gathering us out the people, That's by the use of chariots. He's going to gather us with chariots from all the entire world and then bring us to the wilderness and start dealing with us. Read on.
With a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out.
So when he sits back here and collects us around the world, he's going to deal with us with fury and with a stretched out arm. He's going to force us to lock in. He's going to have the conditions difficult enough to purge out all these rebels that aren't serious in serving Christ. So even the ones who were saved in 2nd Ezra chapter 9 are going to have to go through challenges in itself. Nobody has an easy path. Read on.
And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people.
The wilderness, like we read, is the desert of the people. Christ is going to send us, the ones who were saved, in this large desert. Read on.
And there will I plead with you face to face.
This is when the purging starts to happen. He's going to deal with us face to face based on our conduct and our pride and our selfishness and our lust. Just like we read in all those chapters in Hebrews 3 and Hebrews 4 and going through Numbers. All those conditions brought out the weakness and negative in us. It's going to happen the same way to the ones he saves. Read on.
Verse 36. Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt.
He's telling us the same way he pled with us in Egypt. He's going to plead with us in the desert again. He's going to sit back here and purge all that filth out of us like he did the first time. Read on.
So will I plead with you, saith the Lord power.
He's going to do it again. Okay, read on.
And I will cause you to pass under the rod.
And when he says he's going to cause us to pass under the rod, just like when a shepherd, he does daily inspections on his sheep. He pulls the hair back to make sure there's no infections and sicknesses and worms and any infections on the sheep, to make sure he's doing thorough inspections. Christ is going to be doing thorough inspections on our spirit to make sure that we're worthy of salvation. Read on.
And I will bring you into the bond of the covenant.
But listen, do you think you're going to get the bond of the covenant easy? You think there's going to be that physical transformation easy? Listen, when we sat back and read in 2nd Ezra 13, those were two horrible scenarios. It was immediate death, which is going to be horrible, or slow death in this post-apocalyptic world, which is horrible as well. Or you're fortunate enough to get saved, and you got to get scrutinized face to face by Christ in order to obtain the bond of the covenant. Read on.
Come on, verse 38. And I will purge you out from among you the rebels, and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel.
So if these Israelites that had the impression that they were going to be saved, once they get purged and they can't go into Israel, where are they going to be going? No. They're going to be out here sitting back here suffering like everybody else is going to be in this post-apocalyptic world. This is how it's going to go. This is why every day we teach about discipline and making our decisions and operating spiritually and learning how to be selfless now, staying in the book, learning how to serve. Because what do you think you're going to have on the fly when everything falls apart? All you're going to have is your experience and the scriptures. That's it. So this is the condition. I promise I wouldn't go too much into it. I'm not. Let's go back now. 2nd Ezra 9. And let's go verse 9 to 13.
Come. 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 9 read.
Now listen. 2nd Ezra 9 verse 5 through 7 talked about the saved ones. The ones who were trying to operate righteously. Right? 5 through 7 talked about that. Now we're in verse 9. And verse 9 talks about those individuals who's going to suffer that woe. And it's the worst woe. We're going to read about that. Read that.
Come. 2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 9 reads, Then shall they be in a pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments.
First things first, how do we, I want to get the word right, how do we abuse the Most High's ways? You know what's the first thing we abuse? His mercy and his patience. You know how many times the Most High winks at our ignorance? And the question is, how long is it until it's not ignorance anymore? When does ignorance just become deliberate wickedness?
We know better.
And you know better after you talk the first time.
That's the point. Now you on the hook.
This is the point. He says he's one of those people that abuse his patience, his mercy, his long suffering. And we abuse his ways by constantly doing what we want to do. We constantly kick against the pricks. We constantly choose what we want to do after the Most High time after time after time directs us the right way, and we choose our way. Read verse 9 again.
Come. Verse 9. Then shall they be in a pitiful case.
They're going to be in a pitiful case. Meaning the people from afar that's watching what happens to these people that deal with that burning and that death and that pain after death. Anyway, man, I feel bad for them. But what was the character of those men and women who were in that pitiful case? Read on.
Which now have abused my ways.
We've abused the Most High's ways. They didn't respect the laws. They didn't respect the boundaries. They didn't respect the basic guidelines of how we're supposed to operate and respect the Heavenly Father. Read on.
And they that have cast them away despitefully.
And he says the ones who even start trying to learn the Most High's ways, they cast them away despitefully. A lot of times, we look at serving the Most High as a burden. We look at making spiritual decisions as a burden. We look at sitting back here and learning how to please the Heavenly Father as his standards or homework. We look at studying as it's like a punishment. We look at sitting back here and just staying in order like it's the hardest thing to do. We don't find joy in serving the Heavenly Father. That's what this is saying. The ones that are going to see these rockets from a downward perspective just don't value doing the right thing. Everything else is more important than doing the right thing. Their life, their pursuits, their goals, their dreams make more sense than just learning how to serve the Lord with gladness and joyfulness of heart. Because that's what each and every one of us are put on earth to do. But the majority of us don't find happiness and joy in serving the Most High. What you going to say?
I got one scripture real quick.
Yeah.
Let's go to Ecclesiasticus, chapter 26 and verse 10. In that same vein. Ecclesiasticus, chapter 26, verse 10.
Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 26, verse 10.
I need to pick up the intensity.
Yes, sir.
Whoever has it.
Yeah, I can't find it in this book. I'm sorry.
Ecclesiastes chapter 26 and verse 10.
Uh-huh.
If thy daughter be shameless.
If thy daughter hath no shame. I don't have a standard. Or I don't care about the standard. Read.
Keep her in straitly.
The scripture says you're supposed to keep a discipline and a structure and rules and structure and logic around the spirit. And an insulated environment of system. What you cannot do, what you can do. It can't be gray areas. It has to be black and white when you deal with a feminine spirit or a daughter. All right? Or a wife. Read.
Lest she abuse herself.
But this is the reason why you have to be black and white or very clear with people. And you have to draw lines and create barriers. Because people will do what?
Lest she abuse herself through over much liberty.
The reason why people are out of the spirit, the reason why people are sinning and doing what they want to do, is because they have liberty. You have the freedom to do you. You have free will, which is natural. But then you have no consequences for when you break laws. No consequences when you want to break on your house. No consequences when you want to commit adultery. No consequences when you want to sit here and smoke and drink and let your body be free amongst people. There's no consequences. So you're abusing yourself, which means you're abusing the Most High's mercy.
God, you're deciding in that abusing situation.
Yeah.
So let that go and go back to 2nd Ezra 9 in verse 9 again. From the top.
2nd Ezra chapter 9 and verse 9 reads, Then shall they be in a pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torment.
He says the ones, all of us that despise discipline, that despise correction, those are the ones who get the torments. Read on.
For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me.
The sad thing is, you know what the benefits we choose? What the number one benefit that we all want is control. It isn't like people are leaving the truth and making $1 million.
Yeah. They're not.
And going to San Tropez and living it and doing what those rap cats is doing. Sitting back here in Maybachs with those things, with those
stars in the back,
with those glass, well not the glass, but the little silk eye patches you can go to sleep properly in the Maybach like Future does.
Yeah. With $1,000 milkshake.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, my point is, listen, we're not even leaving the work for that. We're leaving the work so we can sit back here and work an 8 to 5 gig and live a loser life anyway. And that's the truth. So what are we giving up our salvation for?
$500.
The idea for $500 extra.
$500 a month.
The idea
extra
that I'm free.
Yeah.
It's just the idea that you're free.
Yep.
Instead of serving the Most High, I get to choose 5 things that I would like to do. That's really what it is. What are your options? And the paths that you're taking, how lucrative are they? And then to sit back and measure out the lucrative prospect of the direction you're going versus what's waiting for you for eternity. Is it really worth it? I'm not here shaming nobody. Because ain't nobody at the finish line yet. I don't care how good of a teacher you are, how dynamic of a communicator you are, nobody made it yet. So this isn't about attacking or being sarcastic or just being negative. This is about being honest. Read that last line in verse 9.
Come, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torment.
It was verse 10 that we read.
For such as in their life have received benefits.
What benefits do you really get when you live your own life? A weekend off, couple extra days. The weekend off till the boss tells you to come in on a weekend. What we're giving up for this perceived idea of freedom is nonsense. But let's continue.
And have not known me. And they that have loathed my law, while they had yet liberty.
Listen, he keeps connecting liberty and freedom with death.
And abuse.
Well, the first thing is liberty. Because that's the one thing Israel wants the most. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
Israel's fiending for freedom and control. That's what I hear more than anything from men and women. The power to make my own decisions when I want to make them. The power to leave and do what I want to do when I want to do it, how I want to do it. But what do we read as one of the main factors of the people who don't obtain salvation? They loathe the law and they love their freedom. Read verse 11 again.
Come, and they that have loathed my law, while they had yet liberty.
They loathed their law. They loathed the law. And they chose liberty. Freedom. Because really, when you sit back here and get to the nuts and bolts of serving the Most High, What is taken from you when you serve the Most High? Control and freedom. We can go all around the circles about the other things. The number one thing you lose is control and freedom. As men and as women come into this knowledge, you lose control and freedom also. And that's what the tussles and fights are in the house. It's for power and control. Right? Men watch enough of those shows on podcasts to tell you that. You know how wicked this woman is? All they want is power. They want the same power as a man. Then they sit back here, but there's not a podcast out that says we're the Most High's woman and all we want is power too and control. How about that? There was no podcast out there talking about that.
Nope.
How we're the Most High's wife. And all we want to do is do what we want to do and be individuals.
We're rebellion servants.
How about that? So you're going to get the reflection of your relationship with the Most High and your woman. That's the truth also. So, read verse 11 again.
Come, verse 11. And they that have loathed my law, while they had yet liberty, and when as yet place of a repentance was open unto them.
Listen, everybody can see what's happening in Russia. You see what's happening in Ukraine. Some days you read the news, this shit's going to pop off in a month.
Tomorrow.
It's over. This shit's over.
Yeah.
And then you'll look up and say, man, Zelensky in Ukraine is talking about the idea that he might have to sit back here and give up.
He signed some papers up. Yeah.
So, but then you'll sit back here. You'll sit back and say, Israel's going crazy. It's over. The apocalypse is nigh. These nukes is coming. They're about to sit back here and bomb Iran, and Iran's going to respond back. And then a week later, Iran didn't do nothing. Like, dude, what the hell is going on here? Is Iran a bunch of chumps, man? They're getting their leaders killed and assassinated. Their leaders and their generals are getting wiped out, and they're doing nothing. What the hell is going on? You sit back and like, what's taking so long? What's taking so long is what the scripture says. He's giving everybody time to repent. So everybody's sitting back here confident that they're already in and complaining about this is taking too long. Remember what did Amos 5:18 say? How is it going to be for who? Do you know for sure you've done enough?
Nope.
You know for sure you've made enough adjustments? Nope. If you say yes, you're a liar. You're a liar. And you have an unduly high opinion of what you bring to the table because it ain't that damn good. That's the truth. You think your effort is roses. But that ain't awesome either. Moses said our righteousness is what?
Filthy rags.
Filthy rags. The best we bring to the table is filthy. It's polluted. And we acting like we're waiting for this thing to hurry up and it's taking too long. Read verse 11 again.
Come, verse 11 again. And they that have loathed my law, while they have yet liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it.
They despise the idea that I have to keep the thought of change in the front of my head. This is what people despise. I just can't live my life. Why can't I just do what I want to do? Why do I got to live with this discomfort right in the front of me? I have to constantly put myself last. Sacrifice, consider, not do what I want to do. People despise that. Wow, that's the only thing giving you a chance to obtain salvation. That fight and that annoyance that we can't stand is the only thing in the way of us possibly obtaining salvation from the Lord. Let's continue.
Come, verse 12. The same must know it after death by pain.
These are one of the scariest scriptures I've read. The ones who just gotta have freedom, gotta have liberty, have to do what they want to do and be subject to no one. They have to experience he says they have to experience death by pain. But think about
pain
that.
after death.
I'm sorry, no, read it again.
Come. Verse 12 from the top.
No, he said it fine. I explained it wrong.
Okay.
Read verse 12 again.
The same must know it after death.
After death. By what?
By
The
pain.
problem is this: once you die, after you die, you're going to experience pain. That's the scariest thing. That is the definition of hell. When you're in a living condition, that's your body just burned up, and that's the beginning of your torments. How long does it take for a nuclear bomb to burn you up and destroy you? Seconds? And that's the beginning of woes. This is why when we read in 2 Ezra 13, he says there's going to be much more woe to those that still aren't on the earth after Christ comes back. Because that after death pain, how can you even quantify pain after death? How can you quantify your spirit being in pain? I can't even think of what that is. Because we're not talking about the flesh. We're talking about your spirit being in constant agony. And I'm not making this up. This isn't a war's vision of what things are. This is the book. And he says those ones that are going to experience pain after death are the ones whose number one focus is liberty, comfort, doing what they want to do, disdaining order and discipline, disdaining the hallmarks that keep us in a position to even get a chance with Christ. Let's continue. What's that? Yeah, I got it. Let's continue.
Come, verse 13. And therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly.
No. We're already. Yeah, you're right. It is 13. Slack it. Yes, sir. Do it again.
Come from the top. Therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished.
So, but the thing is this: it's not. We're not supposed to know what, how your spirit's supposed to feel when it's being pained after death. He's like, why do we need to know that?
More convincing.
So you need double, triple reasons to just love the Most High
If I know the
and do His
punishment,
will.
I can count the cost better.
So the Most High gives us a little snippet of how your spirit being in pain feels. That'll make you want to follow these laws and submit your life to Him.
You need a written description.
That'll help you submit yourself to your husband.
No.
If I know how it hurts.
Nope.
He's like, I'm not giving you that because we're supposed to love the Most High Christ because we love Him.
Not because we don't want to go through.
I don't want my spirit to be
Underworld.
in pain.
Pain after death.
I will serve you.
Die twice.
I
Listen,
want to deal
bro.
with that. I get that.
Listen, so he's like, I don't want to focus on that, so I'm not going to tell you all that bad news. Read on.
Come and win, but inquire how the righteous shall be
The
saved.
focus should be on how the righteous are going to get saved. What do we got to do to get on these ships, these chariots, to get to this desert and be the happiest desert dwellers on earth? What do I got to do to be the happiest guy in sand in 100+ degree temperature? Because that's what it's going to take. You better be the happiest SOB in the land. Listen, if I would take a shirt, I would wrap it around my head, my neck would not burn, and I will love the Lord. What else do we have to do? I will love sand. I will love me some sand. Well, the thing is this. If you have chosen to submit yourself to adverse conditions here, don't you have a fighting chance there? If you learn how to serve now, you have a better chance to adapt when you have to serve on the fly. Because that's what's going to be required then.
Can I pull that real quick?
Real quick, yeah. Real quick.
2 Ezra 8 and verse 38 and 39.
There you go.
You got it?
No.
Oh, I've been sitting off a
You
minute.
said 38 and 39. I know, let's go. I'm trying to.
2 Ezra chapter 8 and verse 38 reads,
Yeah.
For indeed I will not think on this disposition
So I will not think on the disposition. Read on.
of them which have sinned before death. before judgment, before destruction.
What he's showing is disposition in the definition, 1828 says the natural fitness or tendency, the natural constitution of mind. What he's saying is the natural constitution of the wicked person is not going to be considered. Because the natural constitution of the wicked person is always complaining, is always frustrated, is always unappreciative, and is always prideful. So when it comes to deciding if they're going to be saved or not, whatever natural thought process that people were playing with before the nuclear bombs dropped, before the famines hit, before the natural disasters hit, that's what's getting judged to decide if they're going to make it to the wilderness or not. Read on.
Come.
This is before death. So before they've died, I'm looking at their constitution, their mind. Before they were judged, the second time, I'm looking at where their mind was at. All these things are being analyzed by the Most High from the very moment that we get the truth. Read on.
Verse 39. But I will rejoice over the disposition of the righteous, and I will remember also their pilgrimage.
Their pilgrimage is any long journey, especially one undertaken as a quest or for a votive purpose, as to pay homage. What the Most High is looking for is who sacrificed their life, sacrificed their passion, sacrificed their pride, sacrificed their lust as a homage to Christ and what he did, what he sacrificed for us.
Yep.
He sacrificed blood. Can we sacrifice our pride? Can we sacrifice our lust? Can we sacrifice our disobedience? Our laziness, our slothfulness? Whatever elements we got in us, what did we give up as a homage to Christ's sacrifice? That's what the righteous is being judged on. That's what is quantifying them as being righteous. It wasn't how perfect they were, because no one was perfect. It was what were you giving up while you had time on earth, while you had liberty. Read on.
And I will remember also their pilgrimage and the salvation and the reward that they shall have.
And that's the whole point. The point is the analyzation of our thoughts, which turn to actions, is what's being judged before we get to the judgment time.
And he's looking at the good. He's not focused on
He's looking for the good.
The negative.
Okay.
So let this go and go back to 2 Ezra 13, verse 18 to 20. Listen, I don't want to make it too much about 2 Ezra 9, all that stuff. I'm just trying to take my time to recap this situation. We read about the ones who are not getting saved, and the woe, the double woe they're going to experience. We read about the ones who get saved and get purged in the wilderness. Now we're going to focus more on the ones who are left behind. 2 Ezra 13, verse
18.
Yes, verse 18.
2 Ezra 13 and 18. Now understand I the things that are laid up in the latter days, which shall happen unto them and to those that are left behind.
He says, now he's explaining what's going to happen to those individuals who were left behind. Because you're going to have guys that get the immediate judgment, the ones who get salvation, and then everybody else is going to be here like, what the hell do we do next? The whole world is in utter chaos.
That's a judgment.
The financial system is completely broken. All the manufacturing plants are destroyed and shut down. We got shot back 1,000 years in one day. Now we're in the Stone Age. Now we're back in the Flintstones, yabba dabba do time.
God.
Or like Walking Dead time where everybody's on horses and stuff. Everybody's on gnats. You might as well call them gnats then.
Yeah.
You better learn how to fish, hunt, fight. You better learn some martial arts. You better learn something. We're going back that far.
Past the medieval times, before, worse than that.
Listen, sickness, you better be healthy. You better be healthy.
People die from flus.
Listen, bro, you get gangrene, you're out of there. You're out of there.
An infection, you can't
You're out of there, bro. Yeah. So, listen, if you got penicillin, you're praising the Lord. I guess you got penicillin.
Yeah. If you can find
That's how bad it's getting. That's how bad it's going to get. So, where are we at? Verse what?
19.
Read that.
Therefore are they come into great perils and many necessities.
The people that are left on earth are going to experience great perils, great dangers, and great necessities. Listen, you're not going to be able to go to the burger joint and get you a burger at 12 o'clock at night.
So,
and get you some fries and get you a quick meal. You better go out and hunt. And how about the fact, real life's going to let you know, you're going to hunt a bunch of days and not get no food that day.
The animals
Then you're going to feel like a damn dirtbag. You think they want to die? You think animals want to die?
And the
They
scarcity,
don't want to die either.
the scarcity of animals because of the nuclear fallout.
Yeah.
People aren't taking when nukes happen and there's fallout, the fish
Water's
die,
going to be poisoned.
the water's messed up, animals die. When there's clouds in the sky for long periods of time, there's darkness. The foliage,
Have you ever seen the movie
the road.
The Road? The water was black. You could get nothing out the water. They were living off of eating roaches, bro. I'm not saying that's what it is. But it's telling you there's going to be great necessities. And then if you come across a food supply, who do you think is going to come across a food supply too? People don't want to kill you. You think you're just going to have access to food and smile and just be okay? You think people are going to want to share with you?
Because you're you.
Because you're just a very nice person? No, you're going to get killed, and they're going to take what you have and what you have access to. This is a time of great danger, perils. The majority of the perils are going to be with the human beings. It's going to be a dog eat dog, everybody for themselves life. But the Most High is going to give us a reflection of how we treated Him. The ones who were left behind weren't so wicked to get immediate destruction and pain. But those ones who were operating lukewarm, what does to be lukewarm mean? Christ said, I'd rather you be hot or cold. I'd rather you be hot so you can get salvation. Cold so I can just put you in the fire. But y'all middle dudes, y'all middle gals, the ones who are in the middle, I got to spew you out. But this is what spewing you out looks like. You're going to sit back here and rot away in a dog-eat-dog world where there's no comfort. And it's a reflection of our selfishness, our individualism, our lack of a concern to please the Heavenly Father.
If you want to be an individual, you get to be an individual.
If you're an individual back then, now you'll be an individual then. But it ain't going to be cool to be an individual then.
You want to be selfish now, you get to be selfish as you want to be.
Yeah.
Then.
Women, you want to be independent women now. You can go ahead and be independent woman.
You get to be
You're an
independent.
independent woman
Yeah,
now.
I-N-D-E-P. You get to be all that.
You can be there. You can be out there. You want to sit back and be independent? Be out there when this shit really is
I
bad.
don't need no man. Listen, you get to not see a man out there.
Well, listen. I'll tell you what.
But when you see
they
them-
won't come see you,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
What, my choice, my body? Not in them days.
No.
Not in those
not that
days.
situation.
It ain't gonna be your choice anymore.
There's no cops.
How about that?
There's no cops. There's no.
You in the woods. You're in the middle of nowhere.
There you go.
Don't you think that's a peril? That's a peril. Everybody wants to have an opinion, want to do what you want to do. This world is waiting for you. For all of us who want to be in the middle, I love the Most High a little bit, but I want to do me too. That's waiting for you.
You get to be in that world and get to say, I love the Most High a little bit. You get that response back. I love you a little bit.
Yeah. I didn't burn you.
Yeah.
And you have to sit back here and experience death after pain. I have shown you consideration.
The little you've given
That's
me.
the fair. I'm going to give you a little
That's what
back.
I've given you.
That's the point. That's true judgment. People don't want to look at it that way, though. They don't like that.
It's not
They
fair.
don't like them
Why is
apples.
God not giving me give some protection and some salvation?
Oh,
Where was your submission
yep.
and
Pure outlook.
Pure outlook.
One there. So, read verse 18 again. 19 again. Yes, sir.
2 Ezra 13 and 19. Therefore are they come into great perils and many necessities, like as these dreams declare.
All these visions, Ezra is seeing all these perils befall the world. Read on.
Yet is it easier for him that is in danger to come into these things, than to pass away as a cloud out of the world.
He says it's easier for the people on earth to experience this post-apocalyptic hell than to pass away as a cloud out of the world, to get saved. More people are going to experience this post-apocalyptic world than get saved and get picked up in those chariots and get faced and get dealt with face to face by Christ in the desert. He said a lot of people are going this direction.
More likely that's gonna
More than likely, you're going to be out here in apocalypse world.
There will be a lot of survivors.
There's a lot of movies about apocalypse world, bro. There's a lot of movies about that shit. Listen, Book of Eli, that wasn't awesome. It's even worse when you're a woman. I keep saying this. There's a whole chapter on this about women.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Book of Eli, I Am Legend,
Yep.
Mad Max, the Thunderdrome,
Pterodome? Oh.
the Thunderdrome. It was a Thunderdrome, I think, so. Whatever the hell it is. The Road, not the Road. The Road, listen, the Road was the most jacked up reel of them all. Listen, the Road, you gotta read, you gotta watch it. It was the realest, SHIT I ever wrote, or I ever saw was written.
Yeah.
When you see it like the apocalypse stuff about how life is, it was scary. The road, the road
outside,
street.
So the road outside is
Yeah.
I know what you said.
Yeah. So, do we read verse 20 again?
God, verse 20. Yet is it easier for him that is in danger to come into these things than to pass away as a cloud out of the world.
Man, he's saying it's way easier to sit back here because there's a lot of lukewarm people on earth. There's a lot of wishy-washy people. I'm not a super Diablo demon, but I'm a good guy and I have a good conscience.
I pay my tax.
I'm a good guy. I'm not going to rob you. I'm not evil. I'm not crafting wickedness in my mind. Cool. Then you will be gifted life. But those conditions are a bear. Those conditions are a bear.
After society.
Bro, listen. When there's no law.
Yeah.
It's easy to talk tough and complain about things when you make it. You dial 3 levels, 911, 3 digits, and everything's okay.
Yeah.
Or you can lock your door and that's okay.
People expect you to lock your door.
But listen, what about when they come through those windows
Is that?
and they're climbing second floor and they're throwing Molotovs in your house and they want what's in there? They want your sons, they want your daughters, they want your wife, and they want you.
That's what we are.
Matthew 7:13 and 14.
Matthew chapter 7, verse 13.
Read that.
Matthew 7 and 13. Enter ye in at the straight gate.
It is very important that we learn to enter into that narrow, disciplined, uncomfortable path. Because that's what straight is. Look at the definition of straight. It is unyielding, it's very narrow, it's very uncomfortable. He says enter into the uncomfortable gate, the uncomfortable path. Read on.
For wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction.
There's different levels of destruction. There's complete annihilation and hellfire and suffering. Then it is everybody in the middle's destruction. He said that's a wide gate.
That's the wide gate.
That's the widest. There's going to be people on this earth dying because it's going to go into specifics in Ecclesiastes. No, I'm sorry, in 2nd Ezra 16. But continue.
God, and many there be which go in thereat.
There's a lot of people that are heading that direction, that wide path, that path of people that are not convinced in their own mind, that are not completely committed, that aren't serious to making the changes that are necessary. That's more than three quarters of our people.
Depending on how it changes over time.
Time. Let's continue.
God, verse 14. Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it.
Few find that narrow path. Few accept that narrow path.
That's the real point.
That's the scary point. Few get saved. Why am I saying this? To discourage people? No. I'm saying this so we can take every day more serious. So we can say, well, yeah, I'm not. No, this is not to encourage. This is not an encouraging class. This is a scary class. This is a class that should exhort you to do more. That's what this is about. You better do more when you walking around in apocalypse town looking for some potato seed, hoping you can get some food and some fruit and vegetables in your body, or looking for cans of beans and some Hormel chili out, like it's damn Walking Dead out.
Rice is a luxury.
All that stuff is a luxury. Well, listen, let's continue. Is that 14 done?
Colin, that was actually, yeah, that was it. 14.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's jump real quick. Matter of fact, Isaiah 4:4.
Con.
This is why I want to keep going on this topic. There's a lot of layers to it, man. I don't want to just quit it. I know, we got to go into some interman stuff too, but it's kind of important too, man. Isaiah 4:4.
Isaiah chapter 4 and verse 4 reads, "When the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion."
This is part of the purging process. This is how he washes away the filth of the daughters of Zion. This is how he just washed away the negative in us. There's some people that are guilty of just pure fire and torment in their spirit. Others have to sit back here and live in an apocalypse type of condition so that maybe one day they can appreciate what stability and what spiritual stability is. And the very few that appreciate it now will be awarded the kingdom early. Read on.
Come, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem.
But Mosiah is purging the blood of Jerusalem, and he is purging the blood of the entire world. But he's purging the blood of Jerusalem, read on.
From the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment.
He's purging Israel by the spirit of judgment. Some people are being judged with fire. Some are being judged with this apocalypse condition where, what do you call it? There's going to be perils all around and many necessities. And then some get purged in the wilderness. Read on.
Come, by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning.
That's what it is. Some's going to get judged by the spirit of burning. Some will get judged by this apocalypse place, and some just get salvation. This is how this is breaking down. This is how it's happening. Let that go in Isaiah. And let's go now to 2 Ezra 16 and verse 18. Through at least through 34.
Second Ezra chapter 16 and verse 18. Ready?
Okay. Yes, sir.
The beginning of sorrows and great mourning.
If you remember, when you read in 16 verse 1 down to 17, it explains that the thermonuclear bombs already hit the world. Okay? So the thermonuclear bombs already came down. Christ already came down and wiped out all the major empires and their armies. Christ already took out all the weapons of mass destruction on the earth. All that's done. And now we're in verse 18. And it says what?
Second Ezra 16 and 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mourning.
So after the bombs drop is the beginning of sorrows and great mournings. That's horrible.
It's the beginning of sorrows.
Listen, after nuclear fallout is when the stuff hits the fan. Nuclear fallout, the sicknesses, All the food's going to be contaminated. No water. Read on.
Come, the beginning of famine.
That's the beginning of famine. When everything is contaminated. You got to figure out what's good and what's not, what's healthy and what's not healthy, what's edible, what's not
On the
edible.
fly.
And then you're gonna be like that Curious George, huh? You're gonna eat it, you're gonna die. The next guy gonna like, you can't eat that. It's the truth. That's how people gonna learn what's edible and what's not edible.
But not forget.
Like, don't forget me, y'all.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you. Rest in peace, Lil Trey. Now we know not to eat this. Lil Mockingbird, right?
Yeah.
Point is this. This is how it's gonna be. And this is damn horrible. Read it again for me. Keep going.
The beginning of famine and great death.
And great death. Imagine, the question would be, for those of us who make it to this middle ground, this apocalypse stage, are you going to die early? Or are you going to last 5-10 years in this crap land? This is going to be a scary time.
Winter's
The
coming.
beginning of famines.
When it's cold.
Listen, there's not
gotta
going to
deal
be
with that.
there's not going to be
No heaters.
all these. Look, I said, a lot of this electronic stuff is going to be jacked up. Listen, what's the first thing that goes down in war? Power grids. If you sit back here and look, EMP attacks.
Yep.
Even in Ukraine right now, their power grid is operating at a 30% level, probably 20 to 30. And they're like, there's no way we can keep the people warm in this winter. And Ukraine winters are going to be below degree weather, or at least 20s and teens all the time.
That alone starts anarchy.
I know.
Some of the first things would be the satellite,
Yeah.
because they already are structuring themselves to take out,
Well, but that's all war.
Right.
It's EMP attacks. Like there's been rumors about Israel doing cyber attacks and EMP attacks to take out Iran, to weaken them so that their missile defense is defenseless. Then they can shoot their bombs. So what do you think is going to happen when all these bombs drop? Before the bombs drop, all these countries are going to set their EMP attacks around the world and destroy the power grids. So you're not going to have power grids. You can't refrigerate food. You can't warm your houses. You're literally going back to the Stone Age. Old methods of keeping meat fresh, keeping food fresh. You're going back to the prehistoric times. And most people aren't going to know how to do this. We're in a digital age. How many people even know how to do Boy Scout stuff? Tie knots. You know how important knot tying is going to be? Starting a fire.
Fishing.
You know how demoralizing it's going to be when you can't make a fire? But you can play Roblox. You can sit back here and play all these video games. You can sit back, pew, 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 pew. First person shooter mode. I can go crazy in these games, but you can't do nothing in real life. Listen, bro, let's continue.
The beginning of wars.
It's just then, the wars are going to be for the little resources left.
Those the wars are.
But the wars are going to be with minor weapons, minor munitions. If you look at it logically, the people with the power are going to be your police. Because they have like the minor munitions that can possibly sustain certain riots and certain jacked up conditions. So those smaller municipalities with weapons are going to be the ones that are going to be the formidable force on Earth. The major military is going to be out the way. But there's going to be wars for resources, wars to survive, wars to eat, wars to have access to fresh water. You don't even want to go to war for that?
You have to.
You have to. And a lot of men are going to die in those wars for fresh water. A stable place to live. Like for anybody who's watched The Walking Dead when it was actually good. Now it's whack now, but like the first
Still
5
going?
seasons, yes, it's like the
Oh,
book of
man.
Carol now. The book of Carol, and they're in France. Like, how the hell you get to France from New York? From New York? How do you get to France on a little 4-man boat?
That's crazy.
They got to France in a 4-man boat. Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous now. Whoever watches that's a sucker right now. Let me stop. But when it was good, you could see those struggles in those little cities to sustain their groups. And it's still going to be off the grid with no power, living in prehistoric arenas. And when people are put back into that snare, people are going to turn to savages. Can you imagine? I'm just going to show some pictures. If you're going to go online, you can. Like, can you imagine, like, can you imagine walking through the city act and you got lions running through the city act like an I Am Legend act? You got tigers looking for damn game, deer, and none of the cars work. Everything's beat up and destroyed out. And you're just walking through the city. You got to watch out for wild animals who I want to kill you. You might have people, grown-ass men, who want to eat you.
It's trying to set you up.
That's a real thing.
Listen, there's an image in the movie In the Road. Is that it? Let me show the final one. No. This one shows the power grid's off. Ain't no power nowhere, bro. This is during the road. You're walking down the road, the streets and stuff. All the power lines are jacked. They're busted.
Remember, the earth shook with a great earthquake.
The earth shook. The bombs actually dropped. And power grids are taken out first. All around the world. So you got power grids going crazy. Then you got, this is the one that was scary because in the movie, these guys were sitting back here driving with their weird rigged trucks. And they got like guns and shooting devices and they're hunting for humans out. They're scavenging for humans, resources, and the main character and his son were hiding, trying to get away from these dudes because they were looking for them. Or anybody else they could take. And they end up finding where these guys were coming from later on, and it was even worse of a scene. So all I'm trying to tell y'all is these conditions are going to get horrible. So let's continue in verse 18.
And the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evil. What shall I do when these evils shall come?
So Ezra, like, what am I going to do when these evils come? When it's dog eat dog, there's no more food. Resources are limited. And then people are so desperate they start eating human. You don't think that's going to happen?
Time to quit.
That's not TV stuff. That's real. Nobody knows what true anarchy really is, what freedom really looks like. Because that's freedom. That's what liberty and freedom looks like.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it.
That purge.
But you saw it during Katrina, bro.
Yep.
In the Superdome.
Yep.
When there's no authorities, everybody thinks it's over.
It's clicks.
People immediately go into this mode. It happened immediately. Talk to people
Yep.
that were in the Superdome during Katrina
Yes.
when they thought the world was over. They literally thought that.
People were being taken advantage of on a large scale. The weak were getting just bulldozed. Food, resources, covers, blankets.
Especially when you don't have no group.
That's
No,
my
no group.
point. If you're alone,
That's rap.
it's a wrap. If you're a woman, it's a wrap.
Rap.
Let's continue.
Verse 19. Behold, famine and plague.
No food, sicknesses, diseases, no medicine to help people out, no people with medical experience to help nobody out. We talked about earlier, just basic sicknesses will turn into death. Cuts, scars, untreated issues. Think about how many people are on blood pressure pills right now, on medication to function. You're not going to be able to get your pill, your new set of pills for the week. You're not going to have access to that. People who have asthma,
Without
asthma attack,
that's the problem.
kidney dialysis. You know how agonizing it's going to be without your asthma medicine, without being able to filter your kidneys out of it. He's going to wither away, and nobody can help you. These are real problems that are going to happen in an instant. Keep going.
Tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment.
Stop. Read verse 19 from the top.
Come,
And
verse
somebody
19.
give me amendment on 1828.
Verse 19 from the top. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment.
He said all this that people are going to be going through, their correction for amendment. Let's look up amendment in its definition number 1.
Con. Amendment 1828, Webster's Dictionary. Point number 1. An alteration or change for the better.
He says an alteration or a change for the better. What Christ is saying is that it's got to be this bad to get people to appreciate and be prepared to value Christ. This is how bad it's got to go. He's like this. He's like, for those of y'all who are lukewarm, we're going to have to experience this level of suffering so that we will learn to appreciate Christ in his new kingdom. And there will be less and less fighting over the direction of where he's taken the world. What he's saying is, instead of destroy you in fire forever, there's still good in you. But you got to be convinced to go 100% on the right-hand side. And because you're in the middle, you're going to have to suffer so bad that you'll be craving for the right-hand side.
That will be the only reason to make you come out of yourself.
That's the
Nothing
point.
can make you come out of yourself.
And when you sit back here and you read this, he gives you the understanding of why he makes our life the way it is. If we don't suffer, if we don't lose, if we don't learn that, we'll never learn to appreciate him. He's saying the ones who are lukewarm are going to have to face this post-apocalyptic hellhole. Because in the back of their mind, they're like, man, I never want to experience this again. I never want to live this way anymore. And that, hopefully, will inspire you to love righteousness versus do righteousness because you have to. What is he trying to accomplish here? He's trying to get us to love serving the Lord, to value being a servant for him, versus doing it because you have to do it. This type of traumatizing experience is necessary in order for us to appreciate better days. So we mentioned it last or 2 weeks in class about the ones that died during this period of time. They come back in 1,000 years. But after that 1,000 years, you'll be what? You'll be chomping at the bit to sit back and do right, based off what you experience in this hellhole on earth while you're suffering it. It's scary, it's real, but it's necessary. Let's continue. But that's what that amendment is. So read it again, Cry.
Con. Amendment 1828, Webster's Dictionary. Point number 1. An alteration or change for the better. Correction of a fault or faults. Reformation of life.
It says this, the pain that we're about to suffer are the ones that don't make the kingdom. The goal is to get you to change your life and reform your life and value serving Christ. He's saying for the ones who have to experience this, you didn't value serving him when you were on earth. Now you got to suffer at this extreme to learn how to value. You know?
Con. That was the end of the point.
No, it's not.
Oh, con. It says, by quitting vices.
He says this type of hell is going to give you what you need to break your vices. If you're still a servant to your lust, still a servant to your habits, maybe a post-apocalyptic world will break you out of your vices. Because what are the reasons why you're lukewarm in the first place?
Right.
You love those vices more than you love the Most High. Or there is a competition between your vices and the Heavenly Father. So if there's a competition between your vices and the Heavenly Father, then the post-apocalyptic world is waiting for you. And hopefully, by living in that post-apocalyptic hellhole, will give you the inspiration to quit your vices. Because Bible class don't do it. Does it? Class 3 days a week don't do it. Counsel don't do it. Then Apocalypse Land gonna get you off those drugs. Get you off that alcohol. Get you off that weed. Get you off that lust. Get you off that negativity, that negative outlook. And isolationism. This is waiting for you. You gonna serve one way or the other. Okay, let that go and go back. Now go to verse 20. This should be scary. Yes, in verse 20.
2nd Ezra 16 and 20. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their
The
wickedness.
crazy thing is, even with this, he said the purpose of this is just to give us an opportunity to amend our ways. The purpose of this level of suffering that a lot of us might experience would be to get us to quit our vices and to quit our ways. And he said even this a lot of times won't change what's in us. It won't change the filth that's in us. That's the sad part.
The desire for liberty.
The desire to be negative and to feed those vices. Read on.
Nor be always be like it. Nor
Read
be
from the
always
20. Read it from the top.
con.
Verse 20.
Verse 20 from the top. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges.
He says, even with these conditions, people will adapt to those conditions and not look at these conditions and these chastisements as from the Lord. That is once again even scarier.
That's what it is now.
God,
I don't want to see the lesson. It's always I don't want to see the lesson.
God.
You show somebody the mirror, they don't want to see it.
You
You
better
show them
take
the
away.
lesson, they don't want to see it. You show them the results of their actions. This is what you're doing. This is how you're offending people around you. This is how you're affecting your people that you're connected to. They don't want to see it. So cool. Then you're going to be in the apocalypse world, and you still don't want to see it. That's consistent.
That's scary. This is scary. Read on.
Verse 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case.
What they're saying is this. People are going to get accustomed to the diet, the life. They're going to get used to the minimalistic lifestyle. They're going to adapt. They're going to wean off of the iPhones and the computer age. And instead of freaking out about how crazy it is, people they're just going to get used to the chaos and drama.
Just like people are when they go to prison.
Yeah.
People go to prison, and they get used to that world.
Yep.
They get
Get institutionalized.
yeah. You know what? 10 cents for this right here. I can go ahead and make this happen. I can make a spread, and I can do this, and then you know what? In a couple of weeks, I'm gonna make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
They've got their minds already adapted to that set of circumstances. Whereas cigarettes are like $20 a
It's
pop.
currency. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, man, that's gonna cost about 5 cigarettes. I gotta go ahead, gotta make this
They'll
happen.
get used to the barter system.
Exactly.
They will adapt, and they'll forget the Most High again. It's almost like people think about the Most High when they're in trauma.
Yeah.
When they're thrown off balance and their life and their stability is shaken from them. But what the scripture is saying, they're going to be in these conditions long enough for that initial fear to wear off. And like we are now. We'll sit back here, we'll lose something, we'll have stinkers in our life. For that short period of time, we'll reflect, want to change. Once things stabilize again, whatever. It's okay. It's the same thing in this post-apocalyptic world. For a short time, we're going to be crying, praying, reading scriptures.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it's going to stop. Everybody's going to get used to life. Read on.
And even then shall evils grow upon the earth.
He says evil's going to grow because complacency is going to grow. People are going to find angles and leverage to harm people. People are going to want to take advantage of one another. All that fear is going to wear off. And once the fear wears off, then you take advantage of people again. We read about it in Nehemiah all the time. When Nehemiah was checking the Jews by living right, everybody was on point. Nehemiah left. The fear to be on point was gone. The hustle starts again. Using people starts again. Same old thing.
The Spirit came.
That taking spirit kicks in again. Uh-huh. What's that? Read that.
John 6 and verse 26. Just on that point. The scribes saying the same thing even amongst Israel who were following Christ, who was following his example. Because when there's peace on earth, when there was peace times and they're being taught, they still were only doing it for a benefit. So what he's showing us is the pattern that we practice while there's peace and while there's not chaos is the same pattern we're going to practice when there's chaos. Read that real quick, verse 26.
6 and 26.
Yes, sir.
St. John chapter 6 and verse 26 read, Yahushua answered them and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, ye seek me, not because ye saw the miracles.
You weren't seeking me because I was reviving people. You weren't seeking or following because I was walking on water.
I was fulfilling prophecy.
I was fulfilling prophecy. I was healing the sick, cleansing the lepers. You weren't seeking me because I had the wisdom to heal and change your life. You were seeking me for what? Read on.
But because ye did eat of the loaves and were filled.
Because we got the benefits. Because our flesh was satisfied. Because Christ gave us 5,000 fish. That's why I'm going to keep following. It wasn't because of the spiritual growth that I had. It wasn't even because of salvation. We're not. A lot of our people aren't going to be following Christ for the pure reason of trying to be saved. They just want to get back to their comfort again. They want to try to restart their life again. Their hope is whatever new power, whatever new government's going to take over, now that the world's falling apart, can I just restart and go back to my day-to-day life? This is what we complain about in Egypt.
Can I just sit back here? You know, listen, people will make hell, they'll make hell like a comfortable place again.
Yeah.
Let me find a way to, how do I get my food? How do I get my water? Where can I stay where I'm safe? Okay. It's going to go back into all that stuff. Normal routine. Live my life. Forget about the Most High like we do now.
This is the new normal.
Yeah.
It's the new normal game.
Yep. Once the newness hits, everybody's spiritual. When everybody gets accustomed to life, then they'll see the bright side in this post-apocalyptic world. There's more for all of us because there's less people around.
Okay.
I can sit back here and take this territory, survive, and nobody's going to sweat me.
You know that's the case because even when you look at Christ or his orders he gives to the nations, he says, y'all are still required to give everything you have to the Israelites. And you're still required to come up here every year for my feast days. Mm-hmm. Because what the nations are going to do, and our people who are among nations, they're going to get back to their routine. They're going to restart their lives. They're going to bury the dead. They're going to bury all.
They're going to rebuild.
They're going to rebuild, restart, make their tents, make their buildings. They're going to just go back to day-to-day life as quick as possible. But the Most High is going to keep that same fire and sense of urgency on them every single year. Because if not, he'll wipe them off the face of the map. That's the threat they have. People have to have that threat of destruction because we don't have the natural love or natural disposition to love God and just follow him for sincerity.
Done.
Ever seen the fate of the multitudes?
Done.
You have disciples, their families, who that really, really believe, and then you have the multitudes who just were hearing speeches. They understand.
Yeah.
It was just parables.
Yep. So let's continue. Where are we at? 16 and what?
21.
What you got?
2 Ezra 16 and 21.
Sorry.
Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. Even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion.
There's going to be sword, killing, famine, and people are still going to be comfortable in these adverse conditions over time. Read on.
For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy.
It's just, you know what's going to happen? People are going to be desensitized to all the death. They're going to be desensitized. He said the people that don't die of famine are going to die of the wars.
Huh?
Listen, either you're going to die of famine or you're going to find some place to survive. You're going to have to fight every single damn day to make sure somebody else don't get those resources. That's what it is.
I got it, but I got to fight for it.
Every day. And I gotta get the biggest, baddest crew with me to make sure these other crazy.
It's crew wars. Huh?
Listen, bro, it's your crew against this crew. My set against everybody's set.
Yeah.
Because once everybody gets a whiff of the food we got here, they're going to want it too.
Yeah.
So either you're going to eat.
Oh, I smoke. Hey, posse
That's
up.
all it's going to be. That's all
Let's
it's
go.
going to be. You're going to eat decent and have to fight every day. Or you're going to be so hungry, there's no way to survive.
But you're fighting over human flesh, though.
Or the little resources that are around.
Yeah.
Or the little resources that are available. Listen. The thing is, people are going to get comfortable because they're going to get desensitized to dead bodies. They're going to get desensitized to the violations that men do against women. They're going to be desensitized to dogs eating human flesh on the ground, rotting flesh and carcasses all around each other. They're going to get used to it. It's not going to be something
And that's another day.
deep anymore.
When it's been like 5-10 years out, you're going to be like, okay, this is just how it is.
And you will be desensitized and you will accept this is life. So where are we at now?
Verse 23. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them.
We just said that. There's going to be no more shedding of tears, no more people tripping off the calamities. This is just going to be life. They said it's going to be, men are going to be as dung. What do you do when you use the restroom out there? You sit back and put some dirty bury. You know, a bunch of graves, bunch of dead bodies on the side of the road. That's what it's going to be.
A lot of those buzzards.
Yeah, the buzzards, yeah.
You're going to be eating people on the regular.
Animals, all that. People. Read on.
For the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it.
He said it's going to be so bad. There's not going to be anybody to work the land and work the fields to get decent crops, to get decent bounties. You're not going to get that. You're going to have crops. You can't get them because there's not enough men on earth. What it's saying is after multiple years and decades of being on this earth, there's going to be little to few men left to support it.
After all the
Why
football-
all these men are going to be gone? Wars.
What's it? Listen, you gotta ride for your stomach, and after a while, listen, only the strong survive.
Think about this: if everybody was in a city and everything shut down, what do you got to do? Everything shut down. March. There's no law. What are you gonna do? You gotta get a crew to get some guns. You gotta ransack HEB. You gotta go to Walmart. You think I'm joking? I'm not joking. If everything falls apart,
You gotta commandeer stuff. Huh?
you better go get some guns. You better know some military tactics. And you better go to HEB and get what you got to get. And then that's going to go real quick.
You gotta defend it because if you
That's going to
handle
go
it,
real quick.
you have to defend
I'm going to say that you can't stay there. Because if you stay there, you're a target.
it. We saw that
You got to
guy-
get what you
guy-
can and get out. And then that's going to go real fast.
It'll be nighttime.
And then you got to start looking for who got food. What's smoking? What do you smell? You're going to have to send crews out from the north, south, east, west, scavenger crews. What do you think it's going to be?
We'll meet back at
Every
sunset.
day. The only objective is to get food. That's the things to do. Every day. Get food, get water, get supplies. Get weapons. Train how to fight so you don't die quick in war. Protect your internal organs so you don't get a deadly wound. You get a deadly wound, you get some medical supplies if you can. This is life. This is survival.
Verse 25. The trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them?
Because there's going to be such a shortage of people. There's not going to be anybody to reap the food that's there. the little supplies that will be there. Read on.
The grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all places shall be desolate of men, so that one man shall desire to see another, and to hear his voice.
Bro, hey, listen, say that again, bro.
Verse 27. So that one man shall desire to see another, and to hear his voice.
Listen, it's going to be hard to find another man on earth, bro. You ever watch, like, The Stand by Stephen King? The Stand kind of talks about that. People are so spread out. You're, like, rejoicing when you see another human being. It's going to be that much killing, that much famine, that much suffering. This is not going to be a cakewalk. This is not even the ones who adapt. What type of man are you going to be after operating in this world? How are you going to start thinking? Because most of these people will adapt and not care.
Yeah.
Will you be able to keep your consciousness towards the Father in this world? How hard would that be? To maintain ethics and charity and love. Can't be that person. You can't be that person anymore. You got to turn to a killer, or be killed quick, And he said, all this. Listen, the purpose of this is to die.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all see that. The purpose of this life, this next life, the fate of those who left behind, is to suffer and die. In hopes that your suffering and your death won't be in vain. So when you come back around, you will have an appreciation for the Heavenly Father. And a value for the second chance He gives you. There's no happy ending in this apocalypse world. There is no happy ending. Read on.
Verse 28. For of a city there shall be 10 left.
Of a city, when everything is said and done, cities are in the what? Millions, huh? Cities are in the millions. There will be 10 people in a city. Can you imagine 10 people in San Antonio? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine 10 people in New York? 10 people in Dallas?
It's a big city.
The Metroplex. 10 people in the damn Metroplex.
ATL.
From Fort Worth to Dallas. 10 people.
10 people in Austin.
Will they ever meet up?
It'd be like Will Smith.
Yeah.
I know. It's all those jacked up movies. Eli, I Am Legend, The Road, The Stand. It's there. If you're going to watch movies, watch those. Oh,
I was going to say this. So you're saying that, I know, the question is, we're saying 10. This means we're doing a time jump because...
This is later on.
Yeah, because we're doing a time jump because the lukewarm is a lot of people.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of lukewarm.
Millions on earth up front.
They're going to be here in the post-apocalyptic
There's going to be so much death.
That's worse than prehistoric life.
It's going to get whittled down to tens.
It's worse than prehistoric life. It's worse than that. Because you got woolly mammoth.
I like Jurassic Park. I was listening to that. Like you're stuck in that Jurassic land, and these raptors are coming at you, something like that.
Listen,
it's worse than that, bro.
It's worse than that. But then, over time, as people adapt to it, society continues on. They adapt to the new rules.
But there's still famines.
But they're still dying.
There's still sickness,
disease, natural disasters.
You think those life expectancy rates? There's no more. There's no more medicine. No more vitamins. Listen, bro. You might last you 40 years if you're lucky.
Yeah.
30 years if you're lucky.
And then little by little, the time keeps going and the numbers keep dropping.
Yes.
To the point to
where there's 10
left.
in a city.
Because we want to hear everybody blows up. There's only 10 people left.
Nah, bro, no.
Things blow
It's
up.
millions on Earth.
Yes.
And then they're fighting, and there's wars, and there's
chaos.
fighting, and there's wars, and there's death, and there's death, and there's death, and there's famine, and there's wars, and there's sicknesses, and there's pestilence,
Invading, yeah.
and diseases, and people is going to wither away.
The numbers dwindle.
While the servants of the Lord are going to be purged in the wilderness. Yes.
That's just going on in the city. That's not talking about the ones.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's not just the city. It's in the woods. It's in everywhere. Everything's going to be scary. If it's 10 in the city, it's even less in the woods.
Question. The 10 that's in the city. Does that mean?
It's just metaphoric. It's not 10 like the number 10. It's just metaphoric.
Small
A
number.
very small number.
You can count on your hand.
No. What I was just saying was, the ones that's in the city, do you feel like those are the ones that might have hope?
No. Nobody's having. There's no hope.
If you're in the city, is rap.
It's raps. It's rap regardless.
If you're not in the sand,
If
it's
you're
a
not
wrap.
getting purged,
If you're not
of that,
if
you're
you're
not
not,
making it.
I got it.
it's not. If you're
not
not in
a
the
good time.
sand, it's raps anyway. The purging is us being tested, and our faith and our love for Christ are going to be tested in the wilderness, in the desert. The ones who actually have shown the Most High that they're worthy of getting that chance still have to be tested.
Huh?
Remember, read about having to pass under the rod. Christ got to sit back here and inspect us thoroughly to make sure that there's no filth inside of us. And if there's filth, yes, we're going out in the woods.
You can transfer that.
Yeah, we get.
You can
That's
transfer
a bad transfer. And they said they're not allowed to go to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
If they can't go to Jerusalem, where they gonna go?
You stay in the wilderness.
You go out. You go where you gotta go.
to outer darkness.
You gonna go out here with these thugs and these killers.
Yeah.
It makes sense why the nations are so will be so desperately trying to cleave unto Israel.
Of course. Because everything's gonna be so bad. You'll be like, my goodness. I love Christ.
I'll be a slave over here.
I love Christ. Christ is the king. Christ is the king.
I'm on floors. I scrub toilets.
I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
This is
Anything's better than that.
Better than the
Apocalypse world.
Better than the stand, dog.
It's better than the stand. Everything is. Now, does this make sense? Does this end times make more sense? I love my people, but Israel, they're talking about a lot of bravado. All Israel wants to talk about the white man in the end time. How is they time to fall? White man. It's going to fall. It's going to be our time. Are you sure it's going to be your time? Are you sure?
It's gonna be your time to be out there starving, huh?
Listen. Are you sure you make it? Are you sure you don't live in an apocalypse world with those nations?
Because the bombs, the famines, the wars, that's all before the wars. That's all before. That's the beginning.
And that's why we read in verse 18. He said, after all that bombs and nuclear stuff, and Christ killing, destroying nations, now the woes begin. I'm like, my goodness.
He's just destroying the digital age and destroying
And
the commerce.
and the armies and all the weapons.
Yeah. That puts this vibration.
Now it's mano a mano.
Yeah.
This guy has a big what's that guy? That Australian guy back in the day. It's not a knife. This is a knife.
Yeah.
What's that guy?
Crocodile Dundee.
Right, yeah. Listen. So now in this apocalypse world, you got to fight a guy with a Crocodile Dundee knife, right? And he's been killing a lot of people today.
Yeah.
Cobra.
And you got to go against this guy. Right? You can't be like no brother in the corner. Pop, 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 pop. Ain't none of that happen. It's your hands and your sword
In your mind.
and your knife.
Your heart.
You better figure it out. Or you better figure it out.
Yeah, be a good rock thrower. Huh? You better throw.
No, listen.
Well.
He's running out. He's dodging the rocks. No, that's not gonna work, G. That's not gonna work. You can't be pulling Saul stories out of your head. Thinking, shit. Take your car.
Think of like a 15-minute fight out. It's a 20-minute fight out. A 15-minute rock fight out.
It's not gonna work, bro.
That's not even-
It's not gonna work, bro. Let's continue in this scary story.
Second Ezra chapter 16 verse 28 reads from the top. For of a city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field. which shall hide themselves in the thick groves.
So he said, listen, the two in the countryside is hiding.
He's in the woods.
You hide in the woods. It ain't regular camping. It's like survival camping.
Yeah.
You hide in caves. You hide where you can to be unseen.
You don't want to see this.
I know. 10 in the city, 2 in the woods, in the countryside.
Yeah.
Read on.
Which shall hide themselves in the thick groves and in the clefts of the rocks.
Where are you at?
Verse 29 now.
Read on. So he says they're going to be hiding in those rocks in places that aren't easily to be found. Read on.
But there's safety there, at least.
Yeah. Temporary safety.
Temporary.
Read on.
As in an orchard of olives upon every tree, there are left 3 to 4 olives. Or as when a vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard.
All it's saying is there's going to be so much. There's going to be, by the time all the wars is done, then there's plenty of food. In the beginning, there's no food. There's a lot. There's still millions of people out here that need to eat.
Cut these numbers down.
Now, as death happens, now there's food possibilities. But the numbers are going to be, everybody's going to be dead.
Nobody's going to take it.
Because everybody's dead. This is how it's going to be. For the men, that's how it's going to be. Let's read about these women. What women are going to be experiencing during this time. Let's go to, matter of fact, where are you at?
31 now.
We got to read to 34. Let's go to 34.
Come. Verse 31. Even so in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword.
First of all, then it goes into the fact that people with swords are going to be searching in homes for who's still left.
Who's hiding?
So listen, that means it must be a spirit on people to just kill everybody on earth. Why would it be at this number is so low? What's that? At this point, I don't know. It has to be a spirit on these people. To where it's not even that. There's food.
If people are alive, they have resources. It's still about resources.
At this point, no, but that, and it's about just killing. At this point, you got to still look for people and going through houses to kill people. At this point, it's just a sport at that point. Yeah, it's eliminating because they're already. It's going to be a gladiator sport at that time. It's going to be a bunch of gladiators out there, just killing and used to killing, and the best killers are going to survive. They're going to keep going into houses and lodgings to find other people to kill. It's going to be something like that.
Killing and taking, killing and taking, and killing and taking.
Because they've experienced themselves.
And they've got the whole era is going to be doing that.
That's so the spirit of the times.
That's my point. It's going to be a spirit on people to kill and fight and then kill and fight and to be on top of the next man. Bro, read that part again. What verse?
Verse 31 reads from the top. Even so, in those days there shall be 3, 4, or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. Verse 31. And the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways.
What verse are you at? Verse 32.
Verse 32. Come from the top. And the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns.
And by that time, there's not going to be any maintenance of anything, because there's nobody on earth. Now we're looking at I Am Legend World, where it's just you sitting here walking around and it's just all grass growing over things. Now the whole world's in wilderness because everybody was killed off. It didn't start that way though.
No.
It started with mass panic and anarchy and killing and survival. Can you imagine living a life like that? Where every day is life or death. Every day is kill or be killed. protect what you got, or you're dying and everybody else you're responsible for is going to die or become slaves of some sort.
Yeah.
We're going back to ancient times. Now. Spoils of war. What do you think that is? What do you think that looks like? Yeah.
And booty is a term for taking.
Yeah, that's
plundering.
like treasure.
Yeah, for plundering resources or objects. Taking.
God, that's what it is. It's a reward for your fighting.
That's pretty much the only thing you have to look for in life.
It's taking somebody else's stuff.
I have nothing else to look forward to. I'm just gonna sit here and starve. You start taking and plotting and taking and amassing.
There's a movie called This Is the End. It talks about that too. It's a comedy mix in there, but the ones who survive are just the most wickedest, corrupt,
People,
negative, taking people out, and they're thriving in this world. They're happy. They're thriving. This is the life they want. You got to be that way, though. Let's continue. What verse we at?
Latter end of 32.
Continue.
Come, because no man shall travel there through.
There's going to be no maintenancing of anything, because by the time we get to the end, every man is going to be dead. There's not going to be anybody to fight for anything. So the whole world is going to be a wasteland. And people are going to remember all these wars and all the death tolls and all the sickness and all the pestilence that was on the earth at those days. Read on.
Come, verse 33. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegroom.
Now we're talking about the women. They're going to be, these times are going to be so bad that there's not going to be any men to protect them, no men to marry. There's going to be a shortage of all men. Read on.
Come, the woman shall mourn, having no husband. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers.
Well, I'm going to say this. There's not going to be no men to protect them, so these scavengers are going to be taken. These killers are going to be taken. That's happening too. Read on.
34. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed.
You know, because those wars, there's the wars that happen after destruction, but many of the young men are going to die during this time.
Yeah.
During World War III. Many of the young men will fight by the sword. I'm reading it right now.
Well, Christ is burning up all these armies.
Come.
Who's in the armies?
The young men.
The men.
Come.
There's not going to be men then.
So even less now.
And then there's going to be the older guys. The men over age or underage.
Yeah.
And then they're going to start dying up.
That'll be a small number. That's crazy.
This is what's going to happen. Read on.
And their husbands shall perish of famine.
Rather than the men either going to be dead in wars, dead before the bombs, dead when Christ comes back and destroys the armies, or they die in these inner wars for survival. Hold that, or hold this, we're going back to this, and go to Isaiah 32. Isaiah 32.
Isaiah chapter 32.
We're going to jump around a little bit because the time is getting, I don't know how much time we're going to have. Let's go Isaiah 32, verse 1 through 4, and then 9 through 18.
Isaiah chapter 32, verse 1.
Let me get this real quick. Read that.
Isaiah 32 and 1. Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment.
What does this verse tell us? That Christ is going to be on earth at this time. Christ will have already arrived before this happens, or as this is happening. That's why it's important to be conscious of this. Christ is already here on earth. What he's doing is what? He's pleading with Israel what? Face to face in the wilderness. He's pleading with Israel in that desert. While he's pleading with Israel in that desert, which is going to take years. How about that? We're not going to get pled for a couple of days. Dismissed, class dismissed.
Yeah, class is dismissed.
No, bro. You're going to be out in that damn desert. You're going to be a goddamn Bedouin by the time this is all said and done. Right? So, in the midst of that happening, Christ the King is here. Read on.
God, behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind.
At the same time as Christ is judging Israel, a man is going to be as a hiding place from the wind. Men are going to be a commodity. There's not going to be this whole independent woman shit's going to be out the door really soon. I don't need no man. All that talk is going to be thrown out the door. I can do it on my own. I can do bad all by myself. You see how far doing bad by yourself is going to take you. He said what? A man is going to be a hiding place from the wind. Wind is symbolic for destruction. A man's going to be protection from the destruction that is right in front of everybody else. You ain't going to see that proud, arrogant woman that you see in America right now.
Oh, wind. Wind is disposition of uncontrollable impulse.
That and destruction.
Well, it's the uncontrollable impulse from the other people out there in the streets.
Yeah, that's it. That man's going to be a protection from those women. I mean, from those. That men are going to protect those women from these outside killers that want the spoil from this next raid. Read on.
God, middle of verse 2.
Read 2 from the top.
God, verse 2 from the top. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest.
A protection from the storm. Because there's going to be such a scarceness of men around here. Men are going to be valuable. Now we're understanding when this chapter applies.
That makes sense.
It applies now. After the bombs drop and all the chaos is gone and all the armies are wiped out. The young men from 18 to 35 are going to be off the board. The men left are going to be valuable and scarce. And those are the ones that the women are going to be sitting back here and chasing and trying to quote-unquote serve. This is when it's going to be 7 women and 1 man. Like you read about in the scriptures. Now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now let's continue.
Ain't nobody on the earth.
What's that?
Ain't nobody on the earth.
Exactly. All that pride going to be at the door.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep going.
God, middle of verse 2. As rivers of water in a dry place.
Listen, a man is going to be like a river of water in a dry place. He's going to be salvation.
Right.
Women are like, oh, I don't like how he looks. He's not tall enough. He ain't tall enough for me. Shit. Shit. You will be happy whatever comes your way during that apocalypse world. Let's keep going.
As the shadow of a great rock in a weary land.
Read on.
Verse 3. And the eyes of them that see shall not be dim.
He says during this particular time, people aren't going to be asleep on earth anymore. You read, Most High talked about in Isaiah, I think 29.
Yep.
Once he put the spirit of deep sleep on man.
Yep.
During this time, everybody's gonna be wide awake. They're gonna know what it is.
Looking for answers.
They're gonna know who the Most High is. They're gonna know the truth. Propaganda is not gonna sit back here and rule the day.
No.
Everybody's gonna be wide awake as to what's going on, who the enemy is, and who the Lord's chosen is. Read on.
And the ears of them that hear shall hearken.
He says, the ears of them that hear shall hearken. At this time, everybody's going to be wide awake. Read on.
Verse 4. The heart also of the rash shall understand knowledge.
Even the emotional ones are going to understand what the damn deal is. The irrational thinkers are going to understand what's happening. Read on.
And the tongue of the stammers shall be ready to speak plainly.
All that confusion stuff is going to be thrown out the door. There's going to be razor sharp focus at this particular time on earth. Did you finish verse 4?
God, jumping to 9, right?
Let's jump to 9, sir.
Yes, sir. Verse
Listen,
9.
the only reason I'm not going through the rest because it's a lot more about, the vile person is not going to be called liberal. He's going to be, the wicked person is going to be known as the wicked person. There's not going to be this propaganda and this positioning yourself as this certain movement is righteous when it's really wicked. All that stuff's out the door. Everybody's
All
going to
mask
see
off.
That's the word. All masks are off at this point. Let's keep going to verse 9.
Isaiah 32 and 9. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech.
Now the Messiah is saying, all these women who are careless, that don't respect their man, who don't respect a man's authority, who don't respect order and the spiritual influence, and don't value that. They value makeup bags and outfits and getting spoiled. If that's what you value, you better wake up. Wake up, you careless women who are walking around here thinking it's about material. Because those are the ones who are going to be in this apocalypse
They
land.
don't have a hard time adjusting.
Yes, they are.
Material girl in the apocalypse.
Everyone that got power, used to having their own money, their own house, their own car. She a bad
I
broad.
got my credit card scores. My credit scores.
She got her own house. She got her own car.
car.
Two
jobs.
She a bad broad. Yeah, he says she
You
had
got
two
two
jobs. She a bad broad. All those women, you gonna be sitting back here doing whatever you gotta do to be a part of that husband's harem. You will take whatever deal you get. No, it don't gotta be. He can be the oldest guy in the world. Can he keep me alive? I will take that deal. I'll buy that. And that's how it's gonna be. So it says, "Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear the Most High's voice." Read on verse 10.
Verse 10. Many days and years shall be ye troubled.
That's scary.
Shall ye be troubled?
He said how long it's going to take for this thing to wear out. He
Many
said
years.
many days and years
It's 40, 50, 60,
shall ye be
70.
troubled. This ain't going to be a couple weeks, a couple months. He says this post-apocalyptic world is going to be for many years. We're going to feel this. That's why I remember like 3 weeks ago, it was like, man, this desert is going to be a problem. Give me the desert over this
The desert
any day
is
of the
heaven.
week. The desert is heaven.
It's heaven.
The sand is heavenly out.
Sand is heaven now. Love it.
Now we know the sand's heaven out. Because this is hell out. So he's saying for many years, these careless women are going to be, listen, you ain't going to get your hair did for a long time. The nails is not going to get done. Them toenails are going to be so curling up like this. It's like curling up like this.
No ass control.
Them legs going to get hairy as hell out.
No makeup.
Razor blade.
The armpits going to be not in a good spot. What are we saying? That all this vanity that women are into, it's going to be out the door. It's going to be about survival, because y'all lost focus on what's important. You were supposed to learn how to serve. It wasn't about what you wanted. You were supposed to value your husband and focus on your children. For all of these women out here that don't value serving their husband and being a good mother to their children, this life's going to be waiting for them. Everybody that wants to be independent, proud, not follow, not listen. Don't worry about it. This is waiting for them.
Hey, can we say why? Can I say why?
Listen, I'm gonna say this. Listen, Kevin Samuels. I hope y'all listened to Kevin Samuels when he was here. I hope y'all listened to him.
He tried to save y'all.
And Kevin Samuels is no longer here. So you better sit back here, follow these scriptures. You're gonna be out here in this apocalypse land for many years.
With pride.
With pride. Well, that pride's gonna be broken. What you gonna say?
What I wanted to say was people don't understand the basis of their salvation. For men, the basis of your salvation is how you serve your men, how you take care of your family spiritually, your mental stability, your work ethic, and the changes you make and the virtues you gain and how much you disseminate the word. Those are statistical factors to get you to the kingdom.
Yep.
For a woman, the statistical factors to get you to the kingdom are what is your caliber of service to your husband? What is your disposition of how you look at servitude? And what is the quality of your motherhood?
Have you committed yourself to being a mother?
Those are the factors that you
Listen,
judge
that's
on.
why I
If you
poured.
get salvation.
That's why I pulled 1 Timothy 2:15 earlier. How a wife is saved in childbearing. She's saved in being a good wife and a good mother. That's where her salvation lies. But the ones who are at ease and are about their life and how they operate, this world's waiting for. And this is a hell of a world. This is a hell of a world. Let's get more.
Basically, we're saying masculinized women are going to the apocalypse. To be specific, use this time's terminology.
Yeah. These are
feminine
facts.
men are going to be here
Yeah.
and be very afraid, and masculine women are going to be here and be very afraid. Anybody that's out of order is going to be in this situation.
This is all true. Let's continue.
God, verse 10. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall
Listen,
fail.
all that beautiful prime you're going to be in, guess what's going to happen? It's going to wither away. All your pride, a lot of times women's pride is in their beauty, in their youth. He said that vintage is going to fail.
No makeup in the apocalypse, huh?
No makeup. The point is you're going to be in the apocalypse and wear out and age.
The times will change
The
your
times
beauty.
will age you.
The times will change your beauty.
And years will age you. He says you're going to be there for many years. Suffering. You'll be out there in the sun all damn day long. You ever see people that are out in the street that is...
Go outside.
The people out here, there's a guy right here that's right next to the school. Skin's all worn out.
Weathered.
There's
Weather-
a chick across the way that be sitting like on the other side.
They're in shape. They're in shape, but the skin is bad.
Yeah.
He said that vintage shall fail. What makes you pride in yourself, what makes you pride about your age and your youth and your beauty is going to get all worn down. You're not going to have that to have confidence in this world. None of that stuff's going to matter. Who you align yourself with matters. Or you're going to just constantly be taken advantage of from one group to another.
Like barbarians.
Like barbarians.
But worse than
You
barbarians.
think these animals are going to somebody say, no, I'm going to protect you? No. Whoever's with that group, you're going to be a part of. You think that's going to be fun times?
There's really no entertainment other than
Because
killing
of that
and taking.
killing and taking.
That's the entertainment.
And exchanging. Trying not to be graphic. But you got to see things for what they are. And he's like, but you had pride in your look. You didn't respect a man. You didn't respect submitting yourself to a man. This is the time where men are going to be very valuable. And you're going to want to have learned how to serve a man before. What do you think is going to happen when you disrespect to a man during this time? If you're running off in the mouth during this time to a man. Yep. Beat up. Killed.
Or just back in the wilderness. He out the group.
Or back in the wilderness. To find the next group of scavengers is going to take and
The
abuse you.
same process.
Huh? Death is easy.
Yeah.
You're going to be living.
Yeah.
Scarred up face. It's going to be bad, bro. Keep going in the Bible.
God, middle of verse 10.
This is the Bible talking. This is not a war talk. This is the damn Bible.
Middle of verse 10.
Read on.
Vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come.
Mm-hmm. Read on.
Tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you, and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins.
These conditions are going to make you humble. Because you weren't humble in the world. For all these women that weren't humble, they didn't want to serve a man, they want to serve the Most High in the world, you're going to be made to be humble in these conditions. What the Most High is going to do is break everybody's pride for the lukewarm Israelites and the lukewarm world that want to live their life and do what they want to do. There's a lot of people facing this. Read on.
Verse 12. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful
They're
vine.
going to lament for the comfortable pleasures that came from the life they had in the world. Yes, they're going to lament for all their luxuries and all their advantages that they had in the world.
Just because.
Well, because that ain't going to happen no more. The Most High is going to force humility on all of us in this world. But he goes into specifics about women here. Because with all the men being dead, the women are going to be the prime targets of abuse.
Yeah.
He's like, woe to y'all. Because this is going to be really bad for y'all. Y'all going to be down bad out in this apocalypse world. At least men is going to die in some violent act and be dead. You're going to be somebody's slave. Because you want to have pride now. And not serve now. Most High's got everybody broken. You don't want to serve here? You're going to serve in an apocalypse world. Men don't want to be in order here? You're going to be in order in this apocalypse world. Read on.
God, verse 13. Upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briars.
He says what's going to happen is we're used to plentiness and blessing and ease. He said we're going to sit back and experience nothing but briars and thorns and hardness and difficulty. That's what's waiting for us.
Discomfort.
Yes.
Thorns and briars are extreme levels of discomfort.
Yep.
There's no comfort here.
Yep. And this is what's going to happen across the board in our existence for years, for many years to come on. We're going to be troubled. Read on. It's the amount of years that jacks me up. Many years of this apocalypse world. Read on.
In the middle of 13. Yeah, upon all the houses of joy in the joyous city, because the palaces shall be forsaken.
All the cities and the rich places are going to be forsaken, and everybody's going to go out of the city into the countryside. They'll get away from it. The cities are going to be dangerous. You want to be in an inner city during the apocalypse?
No.
You stand a better chance of being in the woods than the inner city. Read on.
Verse 4, middle of 14. The multitude of the city shall be left. The forts and towers shall be for dens forever.
He said the fortified locations is where everybody's going to. The forts and the dens. Everybody's going to go to stronghold locations and try to seek protection in stronghold asylums. But these women aren't going to have a say here. You're going to be serving, or you're going to be out here away from the towers and dens and have to fend for yourself. This chapter is about women's pride. And how the Most High is going to break every woman's pride during this time. If you didn't want to give the Most High honor and humility, this is what you're going to get. Read on.
Letter into 14. A joy of wild asses, a pasture of flocks.
Read on.
Until the Spirit be poured upon us from on high, and the wilderness be a fruitful field.
He said, this life is going to be a hellhole until the Spirit be poured upon us from high, until we obtain salvation. Until the Israelites that are being judged and pleaded with change, and their bodies change. And they become the leaders of the world they were supposed to be. So the world's going to be in suffering and pain and sadness and death until the ones that were chosen end up manifesting who they're supposed to be. And like we read in further chapters down the way, where it says we're going to be like Christ. So we're going to have to be pled with and purged until our transformation. But the entire world is going to suffer until we're transformed. Does that make sense? While we're being purged, the ones who are saved, while we're being purged, when we're transformed, then we come back out to the world and reestablish whoever's left.
You know, it's at least 7 years. When you're reading that Ezekiel 39, 7 years and 7 months is burying bodies and burying shrapnel,
Yeah.
metal shrapnel.
Listen, he said many years.
That's what I'm saying.
Many ain't 7. It's more than
I
7.
would put at least a number. Imagine even 7.
You don't even want to put numbers out there. Because listen, I'm thinking at least 40.
It's always 40.
We were in the wilderness for 40 years in Egypt. You think it's going to be less than that?
That's the number of tribulation.
40 again.
40
At
days, 40
least
nights,
40.
40 years.
At least 40. Listen, people going to be in apocalypse world for at least 40 years.
Full 40 piece, bro.
And we're going to be in that desert. We're going to be in the desert, deserting for at least 40 years. Of being
Loving that
purged.
sand, Doc.
You better
Loving that
love
sunshine.
that sand. You better get your harmonica.
Yeah.
You better play some music and enjoy this. Because get ready for that. So listen, we're there.
Caravan of love,
At
huh?
least 40 years.
Caravan
Paul,
of
you
love,
better
huh?
listen. But read verse 15 again.
God, verse 15, Isaiah 32 and 15. Until the Spirit be poured out, until the Spirit be poured upon us from on high, and the wilderness be a fruitful field.
Listen, the wilderness will be a fruitful field once the chosen that are in the wilderness get changed.
And that's literal too, because literally right now the weather's changing over time, and there's underground rivers now developing to where the Sahara Desert is turning green by itself. Certain parts of the world has been deserts for like hundreds of years, is now changing its ecology. So the Most High is doing that on Earth, and been doing that literally. So it's a long time. That's my point. It's a long time.
And this is why he's gonna, as he changes the people from our fleshly bodies to our spiritual bodies, he's gonna change the wilderness area also.
Yeah, because when the Earth shakes,
And when that transformation happens, then this apocalypse world will start to be reconditioned to Christ's world. Okay? Okay. So let's continue verse 16.
Didn't finish 15.
Continue.
Yes,
Read verse
sir.
15 again from the top.
From the top, 15. Until the Spirit be poured upon us from on high, and the wilderness be a fruitful field, and the fruitful field be counted for a forest.
Read on.
Verse 16. Then judgment shall dwell in the wilderness, and righteousness remain in the fruitful field.
So now we see for a fact this chapter 32 is talking about women in this apocalypse land now. This is still talking about the end.
Yeah.
Verse 1 talks about when Christ comes. Verse 15 talks about when the purging is complete. But in between, there'll be a lot of suffering. In between the time Christ comes down and to the time the Israelites who were saved get transformed. That time in between is nothing but suffering for lukewarm Israelites and the rest of the world. Is that clear? Are there any questions to that? Let's continue.
Verse 17. And the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness, quietness, and assurance forever.
What he's saying is now the effect of righteousness is peace. People aren't going to be fighting, why do I have to do this?
Yeah, arguing.
People aren't going to be complaining about why do I got to serve the Most High. This is BS. I don't get to live my life anymore. Apocalyptic conditions will break that pride and our angelic powers that we can use to destroy people. That too. But what he's saying is the conditions were created to break the pride in men. Continue.
Verse 18. And my people shall dwell in a peaceable habitation.
Yeah, the ones who actually loved serving the Most High. And the ones that are in post-apocalyptic world that come back in 1,000 years, they'll be at peace too. Because they would have finally figured it out. It ain't worth it. Doing what I want to do ain't worth it. But how much suffering do we got to go through to finally realize doing things my way is a waste of time? It was a bad decision. How much you got to suffer? How many meals you got to miss in this apocalyptic world? How much suffering do y'all women got to go through before you appreciate your husband, before you appreciate and value serving your husband, loving your kids, making them your priority, and not caring about your life, not making your life priority. Read on.
Middle of 18. And in sure dwellings, and in quiet resting places.
Okay, and let that go and go to Isaiah 3. Isaiah chapter 3, verse 25 through 4 and 1.
Okay. Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 25 says, Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war.
I'm saying it again. The men are going to die from the sword, the war. We read about the pestilence, the famine. The men are going down. Read on.
And her gates shall lament and
The
mourn.
leaders of the world are going to lament and mourn because their weapons are going to be destroyed. Their armies are going to be destroyed, annihilated. And the elites, as we know, are going to be put in slavery later. Read on.
And she, being desolate, shall sit upon the ground.
Read on.
Chapter 4. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name and take away our reproach.
Take away these savages trying to take me every day. To sit back here and take away this trauma from being out here alone. This is how it's going to go down. This is when it's going to be 7 women to every man. After these wars are done. After the populations are wiped out. Then you'll find a humble woman without an opinion. When a post-apocalyptic world hits, then you'll have a humble man that wants to sit back here and learn the scriptures and consider the Most High. It's going to take these conditions to establish humility with men and women. You try to counsel, you try to teach, you try to help people. It's like falling over deaf ears. These extreme conditions is the only thing that gets Israel to change, reconsider, and serve. Let all that go and go to 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and 12.
Second Maccabees 6 and 12.
Let me get it real quick.
Maccabees 5.
Let's read that.
On page 145. Second Maccabees chapter 6 verse 12. Now I beseech those that read this book that they be not discouraged for these calamities.
Listen, the point is not to quit and say, I'm not going to make it. I've heard like people say, man, I didn't want to listen to these classes, man. They're too scary. You got to listen to classes, feel that burn, and use it as motivation to be better at what you do for the Most High Christ. Study longer. Fight your flesh more. Fight that negative in you. Show the Most High that you're willing to push yourself past your limitations. Don't read this and listen to this and say, man, forget this. I ain't got no shot. Let me just get my mind ready for apocalyptic world. Let me get machetes and fight. Let me learn how to fight in nature. let me learn extreme fighting. Let me learn how to be like that cat on Walking Dead that used the staff and kicks everybody's ass with the staff. Let me learn how to be that guy. To learn how to deal in this world. No. Take your energy into learning and being better Israelites. And fighting your vices. Fighting the weakness in you. To please the Heavenly Father. Do y'all understand? Did we finish that verse? Read on. Read it from the top.
God, from the top, verse 12. Now I beseech those that read this book that they be not discouraged for these calamities, but that they judge those punishments not to be for destruction, but for a chastening of our nation.
Now we read earlier, and we can go back to this in 2 Ezra 16 and 19, how the purpose of this correction was for us to have to make amendment in our effort. The purpose of us going through this post-apocalyptic condition was because those of us who made it there didn't take serving the Most High serious in the first place. And we need to deal with this level of suffering for us to value what's to come. That's why these things are going to happen. Let's not have to go through this. Let us try to get in that group that's going to get the salvation.
We have the opportunity for our works to make us worthy. Those that were saved by their works. We have that. Basically, you're choosing your reality.
God.
So it's just choosing to say life or death. That's literal. You're choosing what death you want
What life
and
you
what
want.
life you want.
God.
You want the sand life, and we're going to love that sand and be super positive and see Christ face to face, but be purged. Our works must reflect that. Or you want to see all these mad people out here. Our works and actions and choices will reflect that. Or you want to be fried within 3 to 4 seconds from the nukes and then go to another realm and deal with what's there.
That eternal pain.
The eternal fire. Death. That the choices and decisions we make now determine that.
God. Let's finish this off. Let's go from chapter 16, verse 35 through 39. We're going to stop it after this. There's more, but I think the point has been driven. 16, verse 35 through 39. Second Ezra. 16, verse 35 through 39. All right.
Second Ezra chapter 16 and verse 35. It says, "Hear now these things, and understand them, ye servants of the Most High. Behold, the word of the Most High, receive it."
He's like, listen to these words. Listen to this prophecy and receive the message. Get the lesson from this. Read on.
"Believe not the gods of whom the Most High spake. Behold, the plagues draw nigh, and are not slack."
When the plagues come, they're here. There's no turning back. While you got time, take advantage of it. Because remember how we read in Revelations, I think chapter 7, it says, don't allow any of these winds to hit the earth until the 144,000 are chosen. Once everybody's chosen and sealed, then the destructions are going to come. And when the destruction comes, it's not going to slack. It's coming full throttle. So if we got time, we need to take advantage of this time and before the year ago. Read on.
Verse 38. "As when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, within 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment."
When the pains hit before birth, they don't stop. And it's intense. He's letting us know when this world switches over, it's going to be intense. And we have to prepare for that intense pain. And the only way you can prepare for it is to operate more in righteousness. So we don't have to face this. Read on.
Verse 39. "Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrows shall come upon it on every side."
The hell is coming. The morning is coming. This post-apocalyptic world is coming. The only question is, are you gonna sit back here and die in these nukes, and your spirit is pain after death? You're gonna sit back and live in this post-apocalyptic world for many years and suffer and die and stress out, or you're fortunate enough to obtain salvation and get purged in the wilderness. Which one do you want? What are you prepared to fight for to get there? With that, we're going to shut it down. The water for tuning in, y'all. See y'all on Wednesday. Shalom.